There is a particular kind of silence that comes with having nothing. Not the peaceful silence of a Sunday morning. Not the comfortable quiet of someone who has finished their work and is resting. This is a different kind of silence. It is the silence of sitting in a room and feeling like the world is moving without you. Like everyone else received a map and you were never given one. Like there is a game being played, and somehow, without anyone explaining the rules to you, you are already losing. You know what that feels like. Maybe you are feeling it right now. You look around and you see people with resources you do not have. You see people with connections, with support systems, with parents who funded their start, with networks that opened doors before they even had to knock. And then you look at your own situation, and there is not much there. Maybe there is debt. Maybe there is a difficult family situation. Maybe there is a city that offers you nothing. A background that impresses no one. A set of circumstances that most people would call a disadvantage. And somewhere in that quiet, a thought begins. A thought that whispers very softly, but very persistently. It says, maybe I am behind. Maybe I started too late. Maybe I am missing something that everyone else was born with. Maybe this gap between where I am and where I want to be is just too wide to cross. That thought is not weakness. That thought is human. And I want to sit with you in that thought for a moment. Not to dwell in it, but to understand it. Because what I am about to tell you is something that most motivational content will never say. Most content will tell you to push harder, think positive, believe in yourself. And while those things are not wrong, they are incomplete. Because before you push harder, you need to understand something about your current position that almost no one talks about. Having nothing is an advantage, a real one. A quiet, underestimated, profoundly powerful advantage. And if you do not use it correctly, you will waste one of the most potent forces available to any human being. Let me explain. When a person grows up with comfort, with provision, with a safety net that is always there, something happens to them psychologically. Gradually, almost invisibly, they develop a relationship with risk that is different from yours. They pause longer before making decisions. They overthink exits before they enter. They hesitate. Not because they are weak, but because they have something to protect. They have the comfort. They have the stability. They have the identity that comes with what they already possess. And unconsciously, every move they make is filtered through one quiet question. What do I stand to lose here? You do not have that filter, and most people would call that a problem. I am telling you, it is one of the most valuable psychological positions a person can occupy. When you have nothing to lose. And when you have nothing to lose, you are capable of a kind of boldness that people with comfort simply cannot access. Not because they are cowards, but because their psychology will not allow it. Their nervous system is protecting what they have. Yours has nothing to protect. So it can move, it can take the risk, it can try the thing that might fail. Because failure does not take you somewhere worse than where you already are. It simply gives you information. This is not a motivational trick. This is psychology. It is behavioral economics. There is decades of research that shows human beings are more motivated by the fear of loss than by the possibility of gain. People will work harder to keep something they have than to acquire something they do not. So when a person with comfort is faced with a difficult decision, a difficult transition, a difficult beginning, their mind is quietly calculating what they might lose. Your mind has no such calculation to make. That is freedom. That is a specific, underappreciated kind of freedom. But there is more. Because it is not only about risk tolerance, it is about attention. One of the quiet crises of modern life is distraction. The comfortable life is full of options, full of entertainment, convenience, and stimulation that require nothing from you. And these things are not evil, but they are deeply, deeply sedating. When everything is available to you, when comfort is easy to access, when there is always something pleasant to fall back on, the urgency to build something disappears. Slowly, quietly. The comfortable person says, I will start tomorrow. And tomorrow is always possible because today is fine. Today is manageable. Today is not painful enough to force change. You do not have that problem. Your today is not comfortable. Your today has friction. Your today reminds you, with every passing hour, that something needs to be built. And that friction, that discomfort, that daily reminder of where you are and where you need to go, is not a punishment. It is a signal. It is the signal that keeps your attention sharp, that keeps your focus alive, that prevents the slow sedation that kills ambition in people who have too much to be comfortable with and not enough reason to grow. Hunger is not a metaphor. Hunger is a real psychological state. And the people who are hungry genuinely, in their circumstances, in their situation, in their awareness of what they lack and what they need to build, those people have an urgency that cannot be manufactured. It cannot be purchased. It cannot be taught in a classroom. It lives in the body. It lives in the quiet desperation of someone who understands that waiting is not an option. That comfort is not available as a fallback, that the only real direction available is forward. Now I want to talk about something that people rarely associate with having nothing. I want to talk about what it builds inside you. Not immediately, not painlessly, but over time, deeply. When you have no resources, you are forced to be resourceful. When you have no support, you are forced to build your own foundation. When you have no one handing you answers, you are forced to develop the patience and the discipline to find them yourself. And every time you find an answer through your own effort, through your own persistence, through your own refusal to stop, something deposits itself inside you. A kind of internal wealth, a confidence that is not arrogant, because it is not based on what you were given. It is based on what you built. It is based on what you survived. It is based on what you solved when no one was helping you solve it. This is why people who rise from nothing often become the most psychologically grounded individuals in any room. Not because they had the best conditions, because they had the worst conditions, and they learned to function inside them. They developed what comfort cannot build: adaptability. The ability to look at a situation with few resources and still find a way. The ability to function under pressure without falling apart. The ability to delay gratification because they have been living with delayed gratification their entire lives. They know how to wait. They know how to keep going when the result is not yet visible. Because they have been doing exactly that, long before anyone was watching. And this brings me to something important, something I need you to hear clearly. There are two people right now who have nothing, truly nothing. Same starting point, same circumstances, same lack of resources, connections, and advantages. And they are going to walk away from their situation in completely different directions. Not because one gets lucky, not because one is smarter, but because of a single difference in how they interpret their position. Because here's what happens to a person who rises from nothing, slowly through discipline, through consistency, through the quiet accumulation of skills and knowledge and character. They become genuinely difficult to shake. The things that destabilize people who were always comfortable, the setbacks, the failures, the moments of uncertainty, the periods when progress is invisible, those things do not destroy the person who rose from nothing. Because those things feel familiar. They feel like the beginning, and they survive the beginning. They know how to be in the middle of something hard and keep going. Because they have always been in the middle of something hard. The difference now is that they are in the middle of something they chose, something they are building, something that belongs to them. I want to speak directly to you now, not to a general audience. To you, to whoever is sitting with the weight of having nothing right now, or very little, or less than you deserve, or less than you need. I want you to understand something about your current position that I believe deeply. You are not behind. You are at the beginning. And the beginning, as painful as it is, as uncomfortable as it is, as invisible and slow as it is, the beginning is where everything real is built. It is where the discipline forms, where the character is forged, where the hunger becomes the engine, where the limitations force the creativity that comfortable people never need to develop. You are in the most generative position available to a human being. You simply cannot see it yet, because you are inside it. And it is hard to see the shape of something when you are standing in the middle of it. But the shape is there, and the shape is strength. And the shape is being formed right now. By every day you endure, by every hour you choose to keep going, by every moment you decide that your circumstances are your starting point, not your destination. The people who will change things, the ones who will build real, lasting, meaningful lives, are not always the ones who started with the most. They are often the ones who started with the least. Because they carried something that cannot be bought, cannot be inherited, cannot be downloaded or purchased or given by someone else. They carried hunger, real hunger. And they learn to feed it with discipline, with vision, with accountability, with consistency, and with the quiet, unshakable belief that where they are right now is not where they will remain. This is not a speech about hating where you came from. This is not a speech about anger at the world or arrogance about your struggle. This is a speech about clarity, about seeing your position clearly, about recognizing that the very thing you may have been mourning, the lack, the absence, the empty hands, may be the most powerful starting point you could have been given. Because it is yours, fully yours, undiluted by entitlement, unsoft by comfort, unfiltered by anything except the truth of what it means to build something from nothing. And those who build from nothing, and build it well with patience and discipline and long-term vision and genuine accountability, they do not just succeed. They become the kind of people who understand success at a depth that those who were handed it never will. And that depth, that understanding, that character, that is the most valuable thing a human being can possess. So I will leave you with this. You have nothing, and you have everything. Use it. If this reached you, if this said something that your situation needed to hear, leave a comment right now. 2 words, nothing to lose.